Good evening and welcome back to another episode of Paranormal Files Into the Darkness. I'm your host, Michael Purcell, and our special guest tonight is Lynn Faust. Holly, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for being on. I think I've said this in the past. If you like what you see and hear, share, subscribe on YouTube so you're notified. Any suggestion for shows or want to be a guest, contact us here at Paranormal Files, and we'll just nothing. Everything is non-scripted. We just go where the conversation goes. So, Holly, you are a esoteric. I'm going to do that.
Esoteric. Yes.
Minister. What is that exactly?
Esoteric is kind of hidden, like hidden knowledge. And we're interfaith. So we take from multiple faiths. When I was going through my training, I learned bits from Hinduism and Judaism, Islam, Christian, pagan, the different African diasporas. It's kind of, we have a belief that every faith is right. So we, learn as much as we can about all faiths because we think we all bring something to the table. And I always say, like a gem, everybody has a facet, and when you bring all the facets together, you get a diamond or an emerald or a beautiful ruby. And so that's, basically the way we practice is being open to all faiths.
Okay, nice. And you also are a paranormal investigator and an author.
Yes.
And you've been doing this since 1993.
Yep, I was a little one. I was a teenager when I started, late teens.
How did you get involved, or what?
My best friend committed suicide when I was 18, going on 19. Okay. And I took it very hard because he was supposed to be meeting me that day. And we were supposed to be shopping for his new apartment. And my brother was actually the first responder on the scene and had to identify him.
Oh, wow.
So it was really rough. And then, I had multiple people, my family, we were raised Catholic. So we were told he couldn't go to heaven because he killed himself. And I said, no, that doesn't sound right to me. And then, it came out later that he was also homosexual. So then it was even more, oh, he's not going to heaven. And I was like, no, this doesn't sound right, because I was always taught if you were a good person, and he was one of the best. And so that's what started me on the journey, like asking questions about what happens when we die and what happens when we die tragically or before we should have died. If we take our own life and things like that, where it was a search and quest that I'm still trying to answer.
No, okay. Do you have any abilities?
Yes. My kids like to say I'm a psychic bubble. It only started out with hearing things.
Okay.
It was around when I was a child, I had a lot of experiences that I would know things before they happened. And my mother thought I was, possessed and tried to have me exorcised. Oh, so, wow. And I stifled it. I pushed it away. I didn't pay attention to it. I ignored it. And then it was September 11th of 2001 when everything happened in New York. I ended up having people call it a breakthrough or a breakdown. I had people that I personally knew that were involved on 9/11. My priest was actually one of the people killed in one of the planes. And, and I grew up in Hell's Kitchen. I spent all my summers there as a child. So I knew a lot of the firemen, and I had my cousin is a blood runner in the city, and his wife actually at one point worked in one of the towers, but had gotten transferred 2 weeks prior. So it was just an inundation of so much stuff going on that I just started hearing and smelling, and to the point that I thought I was going crazy and had myself committed psychiatrically. And it took me a while before I realized that the voices that I was hearing at the time were actually dead people.
Oh, okay.
And then as I embraced that and started learning how to protect myself, how to, use the gifts that I was given to really listen on investigations, I started smelling and feeling. And now I go through a gamut of things when I'm investigating on the psychic side.
Oh, okay. What are some of the places that you've investigated? Anything?
Gettysburg, a ton.
Okay.
I've traveled as far west as Iowa to the Malvern Manor.
Okay.
The guy who owns that is a friend of mine, and we spent a weekend out there. I've done West Virginia State Pen probably 3 or 4 times now. We did Wildwood Sanitarium up in New York. We did the Hinsdale House up in New York. Man, I'm trying to think. We've gone so many places. Yeah, like I said, a lot in Gettysburg. I just actually got back the beginning of October. We were at the Paracon,
Okay.
Gettysburg, the war in Paracon, and we were out there for the weekend. And we've gone to Mothman, the Bel Air House. So yeah, a lot of East Coast. We did a few down in Savannah, Georgia.
Okay.
We were in Charleston at the old prison in Charleston, South Carolina, and Lake Marin, which is actually a town that was flooded, and there's now a lake on top of it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What's one of your memorable, you know, investigations? And do you also do private investigations if somebody
Yes.
reaches out to you and
Yes.
says, "I think I have something in my home"?
Actually, I just started a team locally that I'm building
Okay.
to do private investigations in the area. I had started years and years ago with a team that was called Casper
Mm-hmm.
out of Northumberland. And I had worked with them for quite a few years before I got involved with the last team I was with for over 15 years. And so now, 2 years, it's been about 2 years since I left, maybe 3 now. And I decided, there's a need in our area for, people that do more than just say, I'm hunting demons.
Right.
So, for real, like, and that's what I seen, happening with a lot of the groups. They have these dark teams now. And I'm
Mm.
like, but I learned from someone who was a demonologist that, it's one of the rarest hauntings.
That's what I understand from having
Yeah.
demonologists and other people. I mean, everybody assume people who don't investigate or know always assume the worst. Like, oh, it's
Right.
a thing. It's like, no. I mean, if they're not doing anything malicious to hurt you or do anything to damage your home or anything, I don't think it's malicious. I think it's
Yeah. And that's, I met Lorraine Warren mentored me for a
oh
lot of
wow,
my career. So for me, I know like the prevalence. I've gone through Ed's books and notes, and I actually digitized a lot of them for her.
no, okay,
So, yeah, so it's just like I know the prevalence of those types of cases, and it's not something that I do anyhow. I don't feel comfortable. It's not my wheelhouse. I tried
right.
that once and I ended up having a heart attack.
Oh,
So, yeah, so definitely but I would say like most memorable was St. Albans Sanatorium in Radford, Virginia.
okay.
Um, Only because oh, I can't remember the name of the show, but they had been there. I don't know if it was right before or right after us. Amy Allen is the psychic on that. And it
Oh,
was so funny because when someone watched it back after we had been there, they were like shocked that I was experiencing all of the same exact things that she experienced when she was there. And the episode didn't premiere till like I think a month or two after we had already been there.
okay. Wow.
And so when they watched it, they were like, "Oh my god, like I got hit by something in the administrative hallway. They call it the
Mm,
crawler, and it literally knocked me on my behind."
wow.
And it was the scariest thing. I had never seen something manifest. It manifested like a big black shadow, and it just came at us down the hall. So that was like one of the most memorable, of all of them that I've done.
Nice. Now, how's Gettysburg? I mean, we've
I
camped
love
there at the
Gettysburg.
battlefield, and every now and then I mean, it's been a couple of years ever since Bigfoot took over for Gwen and I. We haven't
Right.
really camped. So the battlefield is just literally maybe like a mile and a half down the road once you pass the battlefield
Yep.
and the
Oh, the
campsite.
Battlefield Resort. Yeah. But we
Yeah,
have actually talked about staying there.
yeah.
The next time we go down, that's one of the places that we wanted because the Paracon was like the next hotel chain up from the
Okay,
Battlefield Bed and Breakfast. It was at the All-Star Resort by the Eisenhower.
okay,
And so we stayed at the Eisenhower, but I said next time I'd like to stay at one of the cabins.
okay.
But yeah, I have seen so I've had so many reports of different things that have happened there, and I've experienced so much there. And I think it's why it's one of my favorite places because it's close to home.
Yeah,
And I'm a big history buff.
I am as
So
well. Yeah.
yeah, whenever we go there, it's like I'm unpacking another layer of history.
Yeah.
Sachs Bridge, which is one of the places that a lot of people do tend to go to at night because it's not owned by the battlefield.
Yeah.
So it's not owned by the national park. So you can literally go there and the cops don't bother you because you're keeping the vandals away. And now, actually, when we were there a couple weeks ago, the ghost tours actually now go out to Sachs Bridge
Oh, really?
and they do some investigating with them out there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool because, like, years ago, the last time I was there, and we did a ghost tour pre-COVID, they didn't go out there.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I stayed at the Tilly Pierce house in town, and I know they do one of the ghost tours right in the backyard because my room was it was like a private suite right off the backyard, and had all these people standing in my backyard. So, but yeah, there's Spangler Spring. We were there, and it was during COVID. We went, my one of my good friends, her kids, and me and my daughter, and we were literally standing there. There's nobody on the battlefield because all the rules and restrictions
Yeah.
in place, and they're like yelling out into the cornfield, and something starts yelling back to them.
Oh.
And there was nobody out there. It was just us. And, we wanted to go to Spangler Spring after dark. And so, yeah, that was insane. And then we went to the peach orchard, and we literally had a period of time where it felt like we lost time. It was like a
Oh.
paradox almost. We lost time, and it almost looked like people were laying on the ground like a sharpshooter would be. And then when the kids would run up to it, there'd be nothing there. And we
No.
lost, and the peach orchard, I don't know if you've ever driven by it. It's not very big,
No, I don't.
but we got lost in the peach orchard, and we ended up on the main road instead of the actual park road. We
Oh,
ended up, yeah, we ended up all the way at the other end on the main road, and we were so disoriented. And this was at dusk.
mm-hmm.
So, and I have never experienced that anywhere else on the battlefield except this last time we were down. We were at the top of Devil's Den going over into the triangular field.
Okay.
And I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see the video playback from the girl that was standing behind me, but something literally came up and took me off my feet.
Oh.
When we were trying to walk into the triangular field. And I was just like, yep, I'm not meant to go back there.
Yeah. Haven't had an experience there. One thing, my sister and my brother-in-law got married. It was back in 2008. They got married in Gettysburg, and at the square used to be a bank. Now it's a catering hall.
Yeah, it's right across from the Gettysburg Hotel.
Yes.
Yes.
They got married there, and I remember one of her friends, and I mean, I always understood that Gettysburg is one of the haunted places because of of course, everything that happened there in that short amount of time. And I remember her friend having a picture like of near like one of the schools, and it was on a digital camera, so there's no way you could make this up. And they took a picture, and there was no fog, but you could see the full apparition of a soldier by a tree.
I wonder if that was over by where the football field is, because that's actually Farnsworth will take people over there because that was like a mass burial site.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and that's that was that area over there. It's like across from the Farnsworth and back. There's like where the school is and the football field.
Okay.
And they get a lot of activity. They said at night. Now, I'm not a big believer in orbs myself alone, but they said literally you could go back there at night and that whole field will be filled with orbs that you can visually see, not just camera orbs.
Right. Oh, that would be amazing.
Yeah, that's what I love so much about it, because every time I go, I find something different. Like I always go to Little Round Top. I always go to Devil's Den. Because those are like the hot spots. But the triangular field is like, even driving by the triangular field, you lose electronics. Like your GPS will go out.
Oh.
It's crazy up there. Like all your electronics will just quit.
Wow. And I also heard it in the past, like Halloween, like this time of year, is very active for some reason.
I have heard that. I've never been there. Like,
no, me neither.
No, we were there. It was right around or right before Halloween, right before COVID started. So it would have been 2019.
Okay.
is when we went and we had a field trip there with a bunch of people. It was crowded, but I didn't notice a difference. I mean, I've heard stories about like people like it was in one of the houses. They were doing a ghost tour, and people literally thought it was actors, and it was an actual apparition that of a man and a woman dancing from
Oh.
back during the Civil War time, and people literally didn't realize that it wasn't like a show. They thought it was part of the show.
Oh.
And they literally watched and like I would think more of a residual haunt
Yeah.
from the way it sounded to me.
Interesting.
It's an interesting town, man, and it gets eerie at night. Driving
Yeah.
that road from the up from the battlefield past the battlefield resort and then up
Yeah.
to the Eisenhower, past the Eisenhower, that is eerie at night, even
Yeah.
when it's
The fields
clear.
on both sides,
Yep.
and
And
yeah.
that's where they get a report of the hitchhikers, the random spirits that get into the cars and people think they're reenactors. And then they'll go
Oh.
to drop them off and there won't be anybody there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's insane.
I've
There's like I
never heard of
said,
that story. That is
yeah,
cool.
that was one that I heard from Mark Nesbitt. He does the Ghost of Gettysburg tours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I heard, the Blue Boy and stuff like that, but I've heard even so many other investigators after he shared those stories that have reported like, yeah, I picked some guy up. I thought he was a reenactor. And when I went to drop him off where he said he was going, there was nobody in the back seat. I'm like, yep, that would have been done.
My question is, do they open the door or do they just slide right in? Because
I don't, and that's what I said. I said, did you not find it odd that, how did they get in the car?
yeah. Yeah.
And nobody can remember that. Did they
Oh,
open the
really?
door? Yeah, like I've never heard, no one has ever told me. Did the door open and they get in, or were they just there? So I'm
Interesting.
always looking in my rearview mirror when I'm driving in that part. I'm like, nobody's getting in my car.
Well, now I'm gonna have to just kind of keep going up and down the road, going,
Right.
hitchhikers welcome.
Yeah, and they said it's usually on those cloudy, like eerie, foggy nights that back there, because it gets real foggy back there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And and then like I've also heard the story, like I've never been there for Remembrance Day, like when the actual battle occurred,
Okay.
but I have heard people say that they'll literally smell the decay and like the blood and everything from the
Oh,
battle at the, especially down around Gettysburg College.
yeah.
A lot of people will say like it literally, like I've had, the gunpowder
Okay.
and I've had cigarettes and whiskey for whatever reason, but I've never had the experience of smelling like the death and the decay.
Now, can you communicate with the spirits, or is it
I have like not all of them, not so much. I wouldn't say communicate, but I've listened to them.
okay?
And because that's how I feel as a psychic or a medium, that our job is kind of to tell their stories
Okay.
and the stories that they want shared. And so that's what I try to do. Like that's what I did a lot of that at West Virginia Penitentiary. Because I really feel that a lot of them are hanging around because they need to tell people something or they want people to learn something. And I had a friend that actually got physically taken down by something after touching the Bloody Creek, which is the creek that runs along Devil's Den.
Okay.
And they were literally being warned not to touch it. And they still chose to go down and touch the water. And they got overtaken by something. We don't know what it was because, they had to be actually physically removed from the battlefield to get it to stop.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So yeah, something's telling me not to touch something. I don't touch it.
Yeah.
I run away. So I'm the runner.
Don't even put a little pinky toe in the water. Don't.
No, well, I touch that water. I have no problem with that. But like when you think about it, though, especially in Gettysburg, like after the battle, that's where all of the soldiers, like from Little Round Top and Devil's Den, like that were injured, crawled their way down there. And then the rains came after the battle, and a
Yeah.
lot of those soldiers that were there waiting for help drowned.
Oh, okay.
And that's part of the history that a lot of people don't know. Like a lot of soldiers didn't just succumb to injuries, like the ones that were waiting for help. And those rains came and that water in that creek came up over. They had
Yeah.
nowhere to go.
I'll have to make a point to look for the devil. I don't know if it's been a while since, I mean, like I
You
said,
cannot miss Devil's Den. It's all rocks. It's the big rock formations. Like,
okay,
yeah,
okay.
if you're up at Little Round Top where the castle is
Yeah,
and you look down at that big rock formation, that's Devil's Den.
okay. Because I know when we would stay down there, we would, right before dusk, just drive around and stuff like that. And
That's the
like,
best time to go on. Like, they give you a half hour after dusk now. It used to be a lot longer.
yeah,
They had open and closing hours. In the summertime, it used to be like 9 or 10 o'clock. So
yeah.
that's where we would, go hang out at different areas every time to investigate. But now it's like a half hour after dusk. They're wanting you gone. You
Oh
could
wow,
still drive around because the only areas is the locked areas, like where the visitor center is. You
yeah.
just can't get out of your car.
No, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, and what if you do, all they probably do is just to tell you to get
They
back
tell
there.
you, "Kid, get going, get
Yeah,
going, get in your car, get out of here." I
yeah.
know people who have snuck on after midnight and stuff, but I wouldn't take the chance because I'd be so afraid that they'd catch me and like give me a ticket or something.
Or ban you.
Yeah, ban me from ever going back to my favorite place. That would be awful.
Yeah, yeah. We bought the membership for that travel resorts, and that was one of the locations. It was 3 locations, and that was one. And I think it's a nice place. That Gettysburg
Yeah, I
Battlefield
looked
Resort.
at it. I was actually consider staying there when we went down last time, but I wanted to be close to where the con was. If I
Yeah.
had known that I was going to be driving over to the place anyhow, I would have stayed there because it was like a lot cheaper than that hotel was.
Oh, I can imagine. I can imagine. Yeah. So books. Which books did you? How many did you write?
I have 2 currently, and I'm currently writing, and it sounds horrible, 3 more. I'm an overachiever. I'm working at the same time. I do so many pages on each every other day. But my first book was about my journey, and I called it
Okay.
My Journey Out of Darkness.
Okay.
And it was about my journey into the paranormal and my early paranormal career. And just kind of help people so they know that they're not alone. And then my second one was actually a witch's book. It
Okay.
was a beginner's witches grimoire and book of shadows called the Witch's Book of Things. And it was because I noticed during the lockdown, everybody was getting on TikTok, and I happened to notice that there was so much misinformation about witchcraft and witchery on TikTok being taught to younger kids. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. What are you telling? What do you mean you're going to hex the fae, or hex the moon? I'm like, we need the moon.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so I decided to, like, back when I was learning witchcraft, it was you had to research and really dig and find mentors, and there was no internet to
Right.
to find all this stuff. So it was a lot of book work. So I felt by having something for them to have a good start with, like a little basic candle magic, basic color magic, basic, moon magic, and the different phases of the moon and what they mean, and things like herbs, and a basic intro to herbs, that it would give them somewhere to start.
Okay.
So that actually came because I got angry at TikTok. And I literally wrote the book on TikTok. I was on live on TikTok every day writing until it was done, asking people what they wanted to in a book, what kind of magic they wanted to learn, and that's basically how that book got written.
Nice.
And now I'm working on a second edition of that, which is going to be an herbal book all about medicinal and magical herbs.
Okay.
And then the other one is on psychic kids with special needs, because I have 2 autistic kids that have psychic gifts.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's kind of their journey and what we did to help them and encourage them.
Oh, nice. Nice. And that, yeah. I think too, it's like you think of I don't have any abilities, but you would think like, oh, so and so has an imaginary friend, or back in the day,
Yep.
probably still now, like, oh, Billy or Susie talks to imaginary friends, but they do say kids are the most sensitive.
Oh, definitely. And I believe everybody and is born with these gifts, and it's just some people aren't taught how to embrace them and use them, and they lose them,
Yeah.
and then others like me stifle them. because they're judged for it. And then I believe others that truly embrace it because they're in families and homes where they're taught to embrace it.
Yeah, my last guest, Jeff Joette, he said that everybody has an ability because he's like a psychic medium, and he teaches Zoom classes, and he's like each class he teaches is different. Even if you took the same class, it's going to be a different thing.
Yep.
He goes, I've had people who said they have no ability. He's like, it's just channeling and being open and clearing your mind.
Yep.
And all of that, and
I've met one person in my entire life that I honestly think did not have any abilities ever, and
yeah,
he's what I call a rock. He's the type of person that you literally grab onto when you're in a bad psychic state, and he will literally take it all away. And maybe that's what his gift is.
okay.
His gift is to help the people that are struggling with it, with a vision or any type of psychic attack, because he's always a person when we would investigate that I would immediately grab when I would start experiencing something I didn't like.
No, okay. Interesting. So how many do you have, like, I mean, you said you went to the Gettysburg Paracon. Do you go to other kind of events, or do you have, or
I do metaphysical shows all year. Well, I shouldn't say all year, from May to December out in
okay,
Leesport. I do readings, I do mediumship sessions, I do aura cleansings and Reiki. And I also sell things
okay.
to supplement my income. And then I'm trying to get more into the Paracon circuit now that I'm, trying to really embrace back into the paranormal community. So I'm hoping to hit Pennhurst this year. And then,
Oh,
of
okay.
course, I'll be at the Bigfoot Festival. So,
Yes, Central Pennsylvania.
yes, the
And if
Central
you
PA
go, yeah,
Festival, I will be there. I will actually be in the barn this year.
okay.
I sprung on that indoor one after my tent got flooded.
Oh, you got flooded as well.
Yeah. Oh,
Oh,
yeah. I got flooded. And it was just the way my tent was set up next to the girl next to mine, because both of our tents started leaking down right on my table. And it was all of
oh,
my it was all over my wood.
okay.
So I had to like buff and clean up all the wood display stuff
Yeah.
because they started getting moldy.
Oh, were you down by the tank?
No, I was
No.
right across catty corner from you guys.
Oh, okay.
But we were down in like the little gully by the power cords there.
Yeah. See,
Um,
I didn't realize. I thought because we were at Johnstown about a little over a month ago, and we talked to these women that were down by the tank,
mhm.
and they were down on the in the grass as well. And I could have swore that we were having everybody set up on the road, but she said the people next to them were fine. I guess the water just kept running, but where they were, there was no drain, and they showed me a picture. It was up to their ankle.
Yeah, no,
Oh,
thankfully we didn't experience that. Our ground stayed dried. It was everything that was rolling off our tents.
yeah, and I did tell them, I'm like, we wouldn't have known, and that was like, you wouldn't have guessed, but people were like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it's not raining. It's been raining for hours this way and this way, but not where our
We were
festival was."
watching it. Like, we were watching it all around us, like all the
Yeah,
dark clouds for hours. And I'm like,
yep,
oh, we're gonna get rained out. We're gonna get I was astonished that it was what, the last hour or so is
yeah,
when
but
the
it
rain
was like
hit.
maybe 3:30. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
good. So I mean,
And
if anybody,
it was great. Like, as soon as I had the opportunity, I signed right back up because I really and we want to try to start something for the paranormal.
okay,
That's what we're working on, is trying to bring something similar to that, but Paracon related.
okay,
So that's, the big thing that, we want to do like a Paracon, but we also want to kind of do like a witches night market. They're very popular in October. Everywhere has them now.
okay.
And vendors set up and people come and do Halloween shopping and Christmas shopping. And it's
Uh,
pretty cool. Lee Heighton last year, they ended up closing down Jim Thorpe. You couldn't get through the town of Jim Thorpe because they had their witches night market and the Jim Thorpe festival.
yeah.
All the roads were backlogged with the amount of people that were traveling in for it.
Wow, wow,
So
that is interesting. Yeah, and if you do Pennhurst, we didn't do it this year. Something came up that we had to cancel.
I had to
We did,
cancel because of my surgery.
we had to do it. Were you there last year?
No, I was supposed to be there the year before too, but my daughter's college graduation was on the same weekend.
Oh, okay. Because
They
we were
haven't been able to
there.
get me there yet.
We were there. It was good. I mean, I said to Gwen, I said if we do it next year, we should look for a spot maybe on a grass because they put us down back by the one building and it was just dusty. And I'm like, it was just brutal, but it was fun. It was busy. We were the only Bigfoot really. Other than I mean, but they did have like the mountain
Yeah.
monsters and stuff
I
like that.
haven't seen any cryptid representation at any of the paracons I go to. And
Yeah,
I'm always get frustrated because I'm like, people forget that cryptid and cryptozoology is also part of paranormal.
yeah.
I mean, when I was with the team that I had been with for like 15, 16 years, we went and looked for the Jersey Devil.
Oh, okay. In the Pine Barrens.
Yeah. And,
Oh, pirates
so
were wild. Gwen was there with Mike Famelot.
yeah.
Uh,
And
earlier this year, I think it was, or late
and
last
that's what I tell people, like, people, well, are you into, ufology? And I'm like, all of that is paranormal.
year.
And as a paranormal investigator, I'm into it all. I'm not as big into the UFO stuff, but that's my husband's realm.
Yeah. Okay.
But I grew up near Carbondale, and
Okay.
I was born a month after the UFO crash in Carbondale.
Wow.
In November of 74, they're having the big festival there, the Carbondalian
Okay.
Festival. My mom was out searching for that UFO when she was almost 9 months pregnant with me.
Oh, I don't think I ever heard of that.
Yeah, they're having a big festival. I think it's November 9th. I could be wrong on the
Yeah.
date, but they're calling it's the 50th anniversary.
Oh,
And my great grandmother witnessed it. She saw a light coming out of the sky and going down into the pond behind her house, out into the mountain behind her house.
right.
And they came and told her and the people that lived back there, they called it back the swamp when they
Okay.
were kids. And they said, oh, it was a lantern from a train that fell off.
Oh,
And she said, well, she said, I don't believe that. And then they came back and said, well, it was a car that crashed into the pond. And she said, oh, and its light stayed on when it was underwater. And so my grandmother was very questioning it all. And
yeah.
she was a tough old native woman.
Yeah.
And so she wasn't taking their answers. And then my mom said, when they came and got the wreckage of whatever it was on a flat bag covered with tarps. So no one got to see what it was.
Interesting. Interesting. I don't think I ever heard of that story.
Yeah, and I only know it because I grew up with it. I heard about it so much, and I always tell my mom that's why I'm into the paranormal,
Yeah.
because you were out UFO hunting when you were 9 months pregnant with me, because I was literally born December 15th.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
December 16th.
Oh, okay. My
Yeah.
grandson is the 19th, so we're all good
And my
Sagittarius
son's the
babies.
12th.
Yay!
So
December's an
yeah,
awesome month to be born.
it is.
But yeah, so I heard that just my whole life,
Okay.
because it was a big thing and I didn't think it was real. And then when I became, getting further and further into investigating and started doing a lot more historical researching, I pulled up the old newspaper articles.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this really did happen. They weren't just, tormenting me my whole life. It was a real thing. And then now the arts festival are planning this big Carbondalian festival. And Heather Taddy's gonna be there because she
Oh,
does
really?
Alien Highway.
Okay. Yeah, we
And
had
she's doing lectures there, and I'm hoping to get up to see her.
November 9th. Okay.
I think that's when it is. Hang on, I'll check my
Yeah,
calendar because I have it in my calendar.
because that would be something. I mean, if Gwen's off, I would like that. So you're close to us. Have you ever
Yeah.
seen anything odd in the night sky
Yes, and my husband has plenty of stories about things that he's experienced in the night sky. Um,
locally? Because
yeah, November 9th is, it's what it looks like that festival is.
okay, I'm gonna jot that down. November 9th, and it's
Yep,
in Coaldale,
Carbondale.
Carbondale,
Yep.
11-9.
I actually think she liked the page, so Gwen.
Okay, I'm gonna have to ask
Because
her.
I remember seeing, Gwen likes this. So
Oh, okay.
but yeah, he would tell stories about how when he was a kid, he lived up behind Gezzy's.
Okay.
And he remembers floating out his bedroom window as a child. And he has
Oh,
all these weird scars on his legs, like
wow.
around his knees and stuff, but there's nothing there. He's never got hurt there. He never had surgery there, never. But yeah, and he, he'll talk about like seeing this stuff when he was younger. I always make fun of him,
Yeah.
but because like I also, I have a child who will swear up and down that we have a skinwalker behind our house.
Oh,
And
okay.
me being I'm half native. So to
Mhm.
us, that's like a very taboo thing,
Right.
to
Right.
discuss. And I'll be like, don't say the name. Don't do it. But she will insist up and down that we do. And so yeah, like we see where we are, we have woods all behind our house. So we do see a lot of strange things happening. I wouldn't go up there for years to burn trash because I was afraid of what was going to come down out of those woods at me.
No.
And it wasn't animals I was worried about.
Yeah. Well, the reason I ask is so, like, back in 2019, no, 18, where, and I have had the house since 2008. Gwen moved in 2017. And our old neighbors, his sister was a psychic and did readings and all of that stuff. And I was working in Seattle for Seattle Children's, and it was a Sunday. I left for the airport, and I think prior to that, they were like, "Why don't you? My sister's going to be here. She's from Coltland, so it's not a far ride, but my sister's going to be here. Why don't you guys come over?" And da 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 da. And I left. Gwen did, and she did a reading, and she was doing the tarot cards and stuff like that. And it just started that, and that's what started. She was saying about how there's something in the woods that one like dead. Like Gwen told me, she's doing a reading and everything, and then like their kitchen dining room overlooks our backyard down behind the chicken coop. We didn't have chickens at the time, but I had them from years ago, and she stopped and she's like, something down by that tree, and she's like, that small tree wants to talk to you. We kind of just thought it was paranormal, because there was some things going on. Like Gwen would have like be touched. I remember the one time in bed she was touched. So paranormal. And then, she had her Bigfoot sighting here by the house. And then Bigfoot. And then I was like, what if that thing that wasn't paranormal? What if it was a Bigfoot trying to communicate through her with you? So getting on with this long-winded story, my neighbors, and let's see, it's 24. I want to say 2022. They moved last year in 23. And I think it was the year before, 22, when we had our patio, before we had our patio extended. We had the bloodhounds, and they were smaller at the time, but it was about 10:15 at night, and it was over your way, actually. Gwen's getting ready for bed. I let the pups out because they'd actually listened to me at the time. So they literally got to the end of the patio and just stopped and then start like low growling up at my neighbor's house.
I used to experience that. I had a Shetland.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't take her out at night here.
Okay.
Because she would literally look up towards the back of our house where the forest is and just get into that point position where she wants to attack. She was very protective. So I that's another reason why I knew if we have barbecues and people are up there after dark, if they all leave, I would leave with them. I will not stay up there by myself at all.
So I look and I'm like, am I going to have to get a gun? Is somebody breaking into my neighbor's house? Because they were on a cruise, and literally, like, so I don't know how to explain without this. When you come out of our backyard, their house sits off behind us several hundred feet. So it's not like boom. And they were out, and I looked up at the house, but what caught my eye looked like three white lights, but vertical, like here, here, and here.
I've seen that.
And
my one friend says, oh, it's Starlink, but I don't think it would have been Starlink back then.
And if it was,
why was it only three?
We've been told, oh, it was probably a drone. It was probably a lantern. And I'm like, okay, I'm not like, I know from doing our investigations, and we do she does more of the Bigfoot than me. We don't just go throw our agenda out there. We're not saying it's paranormal. We're not saying it's a UAP.
You try to rule everything out.
Yeah, you try to rule it out, and then at the end of it, you're like, I don't know what it is. Yeah. We think it's a UAP. You make the decision. But it was, where let's see. I'm trying to think of what that little area is where the Christian school is over here when you're going down to 61 before
Meadowview.
Meadowview in that area. Yeah.
Yeah,
You know
that's
how they
yeah,
have that tower on the hill?
yep.
Okay. So it's back, that's in the back, and it's about the height of the mountain. And it's 10:15 at night, and I look and it's 3 white lights, and all of a sudden I run. I'm like, Gwen, get out here. So now it's starting to move, but it's moving from 61 to like the Keystone over towards Irish Valley.
I have seen things like that
And
too, and
it was
they
just
move
going
weird.
and going and going, and it was behind the neighbor's house. I'm waiting for her. I'm waiting, watching the dogs. I'm waiting for this to come out. She comes out. She's like, what am I looking at? I'm like, just wait. It didn't come out. I run back up over by their sand mound, and it's coming back towards 61 and 487. And it's now I see 3 red lights in a vertical. I'm like, that's kind of crazy. Then all of a sudden, it doesn't do a big loop. It just turns, and it's coming back this way with the 3 white lights. So by this time, she's seeing it. We're trying to record it, but you really can't see it on a cell phone.
Right.
And it's going towards the Keystone, and then in front of our house, it's almost like it's just following the mountain. And then I tell a story, and I'm like, I don't think it knew we were watching it, but it sure damn felt like it knew we were watching it.
I think they know. We get, for the longest time, our neighbors have this huge light, so we get a lot of light, stuff around, so we really don't get good views. But I remember we were in West Virginia, and we were laying, stargazing, and it was completely black. We were in the mountains of West Virginia. Like, there were nothing around us, and we had everything shut off. It was black. And we were looking up at the sky, and you could literally see things moving from place to place and then going back like they were working in some type of assembly line almost.
Yeah.
And I'd never experienced anything like that before. And it was like, it was deliberate movement. It wasn't just like you could say, oh, it was this, that, and everything else, but it would go from one to another and then back up and then over. And I was astonished by it. I actually came home and told my husband, I actually do believe that, there could be this stuff out there.
No, it came across, and like I was saying, so she's about 30 feet in front of me, going towards our front. Now, our neighbors, the one off to our left, if you're coming in the driveway, it's off to your right. They're about maybe 500 or so feet away. But the ones out front, out to like the road, they're about almost 800 to 1,000 feet. But the mountains are way back there. They're about a couple mile or two. But it was going, and I'm going to try to get my hand here. It was going, and all of a sudden, it did this. Whoop, 45. There's no vehicle that I know that could do a 45. And it looked like it was going to, from where it was on the back of the hill, it looked like if it kept on coming, it was coming right down our driveway. But it didn't. It came down and turned again to our left. And then it wasn't that cloudy that night, and it went behind a tree. It was low enough to be behind the tree in my neighbor's yard, and it just disappeared. And
yeah, that definitely ain't Starlink. So
it's not Starlink. It's not a Chinese lantern. And I'm thinking, if it's a drone, why would the military be flying over Paxinus, Stonington?
Yeah, like what are we hiding
at night? And the closest base would be Indian Town Gap.
Town Gap. Yeah, that's what
They're not coming from the.
Well, no, there is a base up in Danville.
There is
a reservist base up out 642.
An Air Force base, or
no? It's Army Reserve.
Army. Okay, but they could still. But I was like, "There's no way."
But why would they be over here?
There was no noise, and it was crazy. And then we saw another time. It originated in the same location, and then it kind of went down. It was almost behind 61, so it went behind our trees, and you could see the white lights. And then it went this way, and then the red lights, and then it just the trees intermingled in it. It was. And then the last time,
I don't know what I think of that.
And the last thing, I mean, we had another sighting. We had 4 sightings. There was that one, and then we had our daughter over for dinner, and we were telling her and her partner that all these stories, and we got done eating. It was like maybe 8:45 at night, just starting to get dark, and Now the mountain off of 487 by Old Reading Road behind Door Docks.
Right.
I looked and there was something with like a red thing, and it looked like it was like here's the mountain. From where I looked, it looked like it could be higher, it could be lower, but it looked like it was just hovering right over the hill, right?
Wow.
And then it did this little thing where it went down, and then it just went right up and disappeared. We put that on Facebook. Oh, it's a Chinese lantern. No, lanterns go up. They don't hover, and then they don't go down and then hover. It was crazy.
I had that happen at Gettysburg. I actually have, and I have to try to dig it out. I have a picture from on the battlefield. There's no roads around. I can't remember. It wasn't the peach orchard, but it was near the peach orchard where we were. But there were cannons out in the middle of the battlefield. We set up track cams and we put them inside the cannons. And it was always funny to see people walk up to look in the cannons and the track cam goes off in their face. But we actually got pictures there on the battlefield where there were red eyes in the forest looking back at us.
Oh, wow.
And then it was like, then this is going back when I was with Casper. So man, forever ago. And, we had found out later that some people were actually reporting what they said were Wendigo sightings back through there.
Oh, okay.
And I'm like, well, red eyes, my thought goes to Mothman because I'm obsessed with Mothman. But like, why would Mothman be in Gettysburg? But then, kind of like my stories of the Wendigo are a bit different than, most people's stories of the Wendigo because of being native.
Yeah.
And so like, it's just something we don't mess with.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I hope not. And yeah, so I mean, I believe it because and people want to write it off right away. Like, but if you can literally prove it wasn't this,
there was no sound.
Yeah, it wasn't this, then what else is out there except for the supernatural or the paranormal?
Like I hear the Cessnas, and at first I'm like, oh, would it be a Cessna? But I've heard Cessnas around here at like after 10:30 at night. And it wasn't a Cessna because I didn't hear anything. It was just the craziest thing. And we haven't had it in a while. And
now we know to all come hang out on your deck and talk about it. So hopefully
hang out. Yeah, definitely. Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I said. Like I said, at my house, when the neighbors don't have their big, huge light on and we go up into the back by the woods, it's just an eerie feeling that you get up there. Hi, Gwen. Love you.
Watching. So yeah, she's on her way home.
Oh, but yeah, it is an eerie feeling up there at night. Like, and my husband said it was because I watched the Blair Witch Project, and that's why I get freaked out up there. Because, like, come on over. Hey,
yeah.
I'll bring my middle daughter is actually living out in Huntington County right now.
Okay.
In the town of Huntington, right by Raystown Lake.
Okay.
So I want to go looking for Raystown Ray.
Oh, we just heard about that at one of the last. I think it was Johnstown or somebody was talking about that.
Yeah, Raystown Ray. It's about an hour and a half to maybe a little bit more than an hour and a half out to where she lives. And I'm like, yeah, I told my husband, let's go look for Ray this summer. And he's like, no, why are you obsessed with these like monsters? Because we were going to West Virginia to the penitentiary. And we had rented the penitentiary for the weekend to investigate. And I made my friends the morning of our investigation to drive all the way to Point Pleasant so I could go see Mothman.
Oh, wow.
And touch his shiny hiney. And yeah, and that I had to go because I'm 2 hours away. Like how can you not go? And because there's history there with the Silver Bridge and everything that I'm obsessed with.
Okay.
And so I did, and we had an awesome night at the pen that night too. Like we had a lot of activity at the penitentiary that night because of it.
Yeah. Okay. But like Gwen said, a lot of crazy shit out there.
Oh, and I agree. Like we get it all the time here, but like for years we had no wildlife showing up around here.
Wow.
And now it's just been maybe the last 3 or 4 months. Now we have a herd of deer living in our backyard.
Oh, okay.
We went years with nothing. Wow. And now all of a sudden they're showing up again. What? Where were you?
That is very odd. But,
no.
Yeah. Well, I know we're getting close to the hour. I want to play a commercial real quick, so we'll take a quick break, and then we'll come back, finish up, and I'd love to have you back. Talk about, and you're only up the road. Come on over. We'll investigate, do some things.
Totally. I just got some cool equipment.
Awesome. Gwen has a whole crap load of stuff. Hold on,
Oh,
I'm
I
going to
bet.
play our Got Knockers commercial.
It's not Gawkers, it's Got Knockers. Hey, have you been to the Squatchfield site on the interweb that has it all? Introducing GotKnockers.org. Stop on by for an intriguing story of the encounter that started it all. But wait, there's more. Got Knockers offers some fabulous merchandise like t-shirts, hoodies, onesies for the baby, plus a stunning array of jewelry and some fantastic sauces that will make your taste buds dance. But the coolest of all is a genuine Got Knockers tree knocker. Stop on by and say hi to the folks of Got Knockers, Gwendolyn and Michael Purcell. Get in on the action and just visit GotKnockers.org. Again, GotKnockers.org.
All right. That's the brand the wife started, Got Knockers.
I love that. My grandson has a Got Knockers t-shirt.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah,
That's awesome.
he's only 2, but yeah, it's
Yeah, I
sitting
get it.
here, and I love it. Yeah, I'll have to get myself a new one because I lost so much weight that the one I got at the festival now is like huge on me.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
And then when we were in the UK for a festival in July, and Daniel Lee Bennett is going to be doing his in May of next year, and Gwen's helping organize that as well. And she was just talking to him, was it yesterday? And he said there's people walking around Bridgewater in England with the Got Knockers.
Got Knockers. That is so awesome.
So that's cool. So we are now international.
It's a catchy name, man. And like people don't understand it at first until you explain to them exactly what a knocker is.
Yep. Yeah.
And because like I knew right away. And my daughter's like, Mom, why would you buy Archie that shirt? And I'm like, because you gotta understand what a knocker is. And she's like, well, they're gonna get the wrong idea. And I'm like, I don't care.
Yeah. You know what's funny? When we started it, when Gwen talked to the lawyer for the trademark, it was a female lawyer, and the lawyer is like, if you take out the figure, you could do any font you want. But when you trademark it with that figure of Sasquatch, you have to leave it. That's the way it has to be. You can't alter that font.
Right.
And Gwen's like, if I take out the Bigfoot, she's like, people think I'm talking about boobs, even though it is a play on words, because people like, because I know she's watching it. I know she gets mad. When I'm in my booth, I'll see people, men, women, whatever, and they'll go to grab our knocker. I'll be like, "Oh, you like our knockers?" I'm like, "We have the big ones and we have the little ones." And then I'll be like, "Come on in and touch our knockers." You're not going to get slapped.
No, because especially at festivals like that, because they know what you're talking about.
Some do. I actually have people that will come up and say, "Can I ask what it is?" And it's good that they ask rather than they just keep on walking by. So I like explaining what they, that they're known to either.
Asking is bringing them in,
to try to be.
It's bringing them in, man. Yeah. And that's what I said. Like, I thought it was great. Y'all have the hot sauces. I actually just used my knocked up sauce the other night.
Knocked up.
I made jambalaya with it.
Oh, did you hear that, Gwen? She made jambalaya with her knocked up sauce. We have everything we need to make jambalaya that we bought when we were in New Orleans, and we're just waiting for somebody to make it. Not me. Gwen, but because I pulled it out the other day. I forgot I had it, and I was looking for hot sauce because I buy Red Hot in the big gallon jugs because I use that a lot. But I'm like, I want something different, and I opened up my cupboard. Oh, I need to try this. I haven't tried this yet, and I thought it was pretty good. Nice. I mean, people do like it. I mean,
I eat it on my eggs.
Trying to get the brand moving. I mean, with I'm not only with the clothes and everything else that we're doing, just to get the whole Got Knockers, but the sauce. I mean, everybody says the barbecue sauce is sweet with a little kick. And then, that hot sauce starts out, and when I say like in a millisecond, it starts out sweet, and then boom, the hot pepper in it just
I eat
gets.
it. I eat it on my eggs when I make scrambled eggs.
Yeah, I'm
I
with you.
throw it on my eggs.
And then back to the children. So when we started this, people would be like, I remember being in Tennessee. They're like, oh, we like it, but I don't think little Susie or Billy could wear it to school. And I'm like, well, if the teachers know, they know. Well, let's see, 2 weeks. It'll be 2 weeks this weekend. We were in South Carolina, and that was the third time we were down in Westminster for the South Carolina Bigfoot Festival that Gwen spoke at. And two people separately came up and said, and one actually did it by accident. They sent their child to school with a Got Knockers t-shirt on. And the first thing I said is, did they get in trouble? And they said no. And I'm like, good, because that's what everybody's afraid of. Like, oh, I
Right, and
can't
I
send
think
my kid with that.
yeah, I think if they see that there's, a
A
squatch in
Bigfoot?
there, they're
Yeah.
gonna, oh, okay, that has gotta obviously have something to do with
I mean,
Bigfoot.
there's no figure of a boob. It's just the word knockers, but there's a bat, there's a stick, and there's a Bigfoot holding a stick. I
Yeah.
don't understand what, if you
People want to find problems where there isn't, and that's what I
exactly.
always say, and that's what. But no, I love it. I couldn't wait to get one for my grandson.
Yeah.
So
If somebody
one
watching,
bigger.
and if somebody's watching for 25, because it should have been in 24, but she's, as a silent partner, I'm not too silent, and she doesn't listen to me. I want to come out with a onesie so we do, and that's another thing. I'll be like, if you're not into knockers, we got Believe and we got Straight Out of the Woods.
I gotta believe one, and
So
now it's too big on me.
I want to do a play on the Straight Out of the Woods. I want to do Straight Out of the Womb with a little baby Sasquatch next to it.
Littlefoot.
And yeah, Littlefoot, and do 0 to 9 months, and that's it. Don't do 12 months. Don't do bigger, because that's literally up to 9 months is literally straight out of the womb. And last year, when people would see the Got Knockers and they're like, oh, I'm going to get it because my sister's pregnant or so-and-so's pregnant. And I would say, what do you think about this? And they're like, oh, we love it. If you had that, we'd buy that too.
Oh, do it.
See, we got to get it. We got to make it. But yeah.
If I have another grandchild, I'm hoping, I keep begging, that I would definitely put that on them.
I love when they buy the little shirts. And then another thing too, and I'm not plugging this. This is just what we heard. We had a woman with her husband and her two grandkids that came to bought the one grandkid another shirt that they bought it 2 years ago when we were down there. He outgrew it, went to the next grandson, and the first thing I asked is, what's the quality? Because we use Gildan shirts.
Right. That's what
shrink that off. And they said looks like they just bought it last week. And
that's like, what I am so angry about. I have so many beautiful shirts that I created for myself.
Yeah.
And I had to get rid of them all. So someone got a ton of beautiful Gildan shirts, everything that says I'm an F-bomb kind of mom. Like I made the ones that say, some girls play with dolls, real girls ghost hunt.
Nice.
So yeah, someone got a bunch of nice shirts whatever they went to.
Nice. But yeah, it was good to hear. It was good to see the repeat customers down there when we go to these shows. I mean, we're working on getting it out there. And
hey, that's what I'm trying to do. I'm actually considering going out in March to the Southwest Paracon to Bigfoot Bill Rigby's show.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
we'll consider it. It all depends on weather for me, because I know that drive, because I used to take my daughter as a patient at Children's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And Johnstown, Altoona, all through there, it can be so unpredictable.
Oh yeah, going through snowshoe stuff like that. Yeah.
I don't like going down that way, but
I gotta say, I mean, 81's not terrible, but no matter what time of the year, 80 is just a long, boring drive. You got trees to the left, you got trees to the right.
Yeah,
that's it. I mean,
and 80, once you get out past like different parts of Illinois, it's even worse, because then you got flat plain.
Oh,
because we took 80 all the way out to Iowa. We drove when we went to Malvern. We literally drove out to Malvern Manor, and it took us 2 days. And like once we got past Joliet, Illinois, it was just flat fields and nothing. And I was just like, man, I'm waiting for Laura Ingalls Wilder to come over the field.
Nice. But yeah. Well, we're at the hour mark. I would love to have you back when you get your books. Come on back, promote
Definitely.
them. Any other investigations and stuff. And if you ever want
I'm
to come
hoping
over
to
and
get
hang
one
out,
going. My 50th birthday is in December, and I'm hoping to get somewhere to investigate. If not, I'm totally down for a trip to Lilydale in the spring. So I love
okay.
going out to Lilydale. It's a whole town of spiritualists, all psychic and mediums in the town.
Oh, well,
Lilydale, New
oh,
York.
yes. I'm like, why does that sound familiar?
Yep.
It's just not even. I don't think anything happens for a coincidence, but that Jowett was from
Mhm.
Lilydale, New York, and he was my guest 2 weeks ago. And now here, because I'm like, why do I know that name,
Yep, that's
Lilydale?
probably why. That is one of my favorite places. Besides Gettysburg, it's my other favorite place to go.
Okay, because I'm like, oh, that's
And then you could hit up like Wildwood Sanitarium and then Hinsdale House and then spend a weekend,
Hinsdale's
go to Lilydale.
on our list to one day get there.
If you go, let me know. I will tag along
Okay, because I
because
know.
that place it's pretty interesting. And it's not just the house, it's the land.
Okay, yeah, that's what we heard. Yeah,
Yeah.
when we were at Penhurst last year, a friend of hers works there, and they were like, "Hey, we could do a group of 6 and
Yeah,
have
that's
the
when we
whole
went.
house
It
and
was 6 of
everything."
us that went. I
And,
slept out in my car.
oh, really?
I felt safer in my car than I did sleeping in the house.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I was waiting for an elder because I kept hearing Native American chanting outside every time I would go out. So I
Yeah.
was waiting to wake up and see like an elder looking in my car at me to say, like, girl, what are you doing? So, but yeah, I didn't get to see anybody, but I heard a lot.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll have to get with Gwen because and see. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you're
Sounds
taking
good.
applications for members for your team
Anytime you want to join, you let me know.
because I
And
know it would be nice to get back out. We were with a team that kind of investigated here and there, and then for the last year plus they haven't. And it's like, I mean, I know
it's hard to get people to take the dive, but I like to go take a trip once in a while to Gettysburg. We like to plan trips outside of just doing public investigations.
Yeah.
And I know from helping plan them the hot spots and how to get there.
Nice. Yeah, because I know before I took this show over from Sean Wagner, he was asking about a show, and because he did the Paranormal Files and I did the co-host, because we actually had Sam Baltrusis, who also was at the
Oh, yep, Sam.
yeah,
I know.
Sam.
I haven't gotten to meet him yet, but he worked with my former boss, Ryan. So
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
when
he was at
Ryan
the
did
Hinsdale
Salem.
house, and he said he liked it. But
Lorraine investigated the Hinsdale house back when the hauntings happened.
oh, really?
Yep, the Warrens were called into that case. And
Interesting.
I thought so. So when I came back, I had actually, dug deeper to find out if I was remembering correctly or not. And sure enough, yeah.
Nice. So I know we talked about going there, and but we also talked about a show, and I said, well, what if we did a show where people just came in, I would do the talking, and if you had like something that needed to be investigated or you felt like something, then we get your information and stuff like that, and we
That's
never
what I'm
did it.
hoping to do. I'm getting ready. I'm working hard and diligently to start Dead Time Tales.
I saw that. Yes, yes.
Yes, I
You wanna
actually.
before we go, do you want to plug
Yeah.
that? I mean,
So
it's going to be
yeah,
a podcast.
I'm starting a YouTube streaming video podcast on called Dead Time Tales. It's going to focus on the paranormal, the supernatural, cryptids, UFOs, and true crime. Because I am a true crime junkie, and I think there is a connection between hauntings and true crime.
Oh,
Especially with places like Villisca and places like that. So I want to focus on those historically haunted locations and share the true crime aspects of those places.
okay.
And so that is, it's in the works. I'm got my promo video made. I did some testing and,
Oh, nice.
slowly getting out there. It took me forever to figure out how to do an intro and an outro. But
Yeah.
thankfully I have a Canva membership. So
Oh, okay.
Canva really helped me. And yeah, so I started that last night.
So
Well,
did
I
you
did.
do your intro and out? I didn't mean to interrupt you, but did
Yep.
you do
No.
your intro and outro using Canva?
Yes, I did.
Oh, you might have to get with Gwen because I know she wants to do some changes to her show from Behind Tall Trees, and then
Mhm.
I'm using a generic one that was put together, and we've been asking to try to if there's a way to do an intro and for our
Yeah,
show.
if you want to use like personal video and whatnot, it was like for me, I'm technologically challenged. It's why I
Yeah.
don't use a lot of tech in the field, but it was very easy for me.
Okay.
Once I got down and started doing it in Canva, because I do a lot of my designing in Canva. My
Yes,
book
that's
cover.
what Gwen does. And then she said she would love to come on this
Yay!
show.
Definitely. I will get with you and book you, and I'm ready to start taking guests because I want to talk about everything.
Yeah.
I want people to understand that the paranormal just isn't about ghosts and hauntings, because I've even gone to the Rhine Institute in North Carolina and have done paranormal studies there.
Oh, okay.
And that was like one of the first parapsychological units in the States. It was part of Duke University, and then it became private.
Okay.
And so yeah, they get into like a lot with psi, which is the psychic abilities, which
Oh,
is still paranormal. And that's what I tell people. We encompass everything. It's just people specialize.
yeah. Right. Makes sense. So, all right. Well, I'm gonna let. I don't want to hold you up. I mean, I could talk for a while. I'm a talker.
Oh,
Well,
I am too. My kids hate that about me because I can talk to anyone, anywhere, and especially if it's something I love.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this has been a part of my life for so long. It's over 30 years.
Yeah.
And, and you and Gwen, anytime, like if I'm hooking up a trip, and you guys want to come investigate, y'all are more than welcome to come out and hang with us.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, give us a holler. And then Gwen, I know if you're probably still watching because you're driving home. November 9th, Carbondale is having a festival.
Yes.
I never even heard of the UFO crash there. The only thing I remember hearing is about the United plane crash in Aristus, but I never heard of a UFO crash in Carbondale.
Yeah. Well, it was 1974.
And I was 4 years old. 3
Yeah.
3 years
Well,
old.
I was like I said, I wasn't born yet. I was in my mom's womb, and she was out searching for this thing, climbing the mountain.
Wow.
And yeah, I guess they're going to do things at the site. They're going to have discussions. I want to get out because, Heather Taddy was someone I was close to years and years ago. She was a
Okay.
former member of the team I was on.
Oh,
And
okay.
getting to see them, I just saw them at White Hill Mansion. I don't know if it was manor or mansion right before my surgery in May.
Mm.
But any chance I can get to catch up with her and Katrina, I take, because I do love both of them so much.
Yeah, Sean, when I was his co-host, we had Heather on the show. She was a good,
Heather is amazing. I have videos of her from the mansion that we had. It was called the Paranormal Science Institute out in Uniontown. It's right outside Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And we would do weekends there. This happened to be a weekend that Heather was there to lecture, and we didn't really have anybody there to spend the night. And we just had so much fun with her because
Wow.
she's a hoot, and she's very, knows her stuff.
Yeah, I'll have to reach out. Or if we come up on, I'll have to reach out to her, see if she'd want to come back on the show. It's been a
Well, I know Gwen's trying to get her too. So
well, I guess we're gonna have to fight when she gets home.
Yeah, because I had sent her a message, but I haven't heard back from her. But I'd love to have her on my show.
Nice.
So, but I think I'd shoot more with Katrina because of her doing. But they have a show coming out. What is it? Oh, I can't remember it. I just shared it yesterday. It's on the 30th of October.
Okay.
It's a YouTube that they're doing together. Travel the Dead.
Oh. Okay.
So that's what I'm like trying to get with them about that, because I know Katrina was up here a few years ago doing Centralia for the Chiller Network.
Oh, okay. So she's familiar with the area.
Oh yeah, she's from Heather's from Pittsburgh, Katrina's from Philly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And we're right there in the center.
That's what I tell them all the time. I'm right in the middle, and Katrina likes Knoebels.
Nice.
So yeah.
Free admission, free parking, by the way, people. And
yes,
if you plan on coming to the Central Pennsylvania Bigfoot Festival in August the 3rd of 2025, we are literally 5 minutes from Knoebels. So, it's free parking. I tell people, even when we're traveling, because like when we were out in Johnstown and we were out Bill Riggy's place, they're like, "Where are you from?" I'm like, "Oh, about a little over 3 hours to this, east." And I said, if you have kids, come on out. I'm like, you buy
Yeah,
tickets
definitely.
and don't feel like you have to use them before you leave because
They never expire.
they never expire. You get your
My
great,
husband has
as long as
tickets.
it's open, and your great children can still use them.
My husband has tickets from when he was a kid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And I laugh. I'm like, dude, why do you have some? And whenever we go there, people like try to give us tickets. We're like, no, keep them. If you come back, they'll still be good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't give them away.
No. Wait. Oh, I'm sorry. It's August 9th. August 9th.
Yes,
August.
it's the Cryptid Festival. I should have
It
corrected you
was,
about that.
yeah,
I
it
have
was
it in my
August 3rd
calendar.
this year. So
Well,
August
yeah,
9th.
in August. It's the second Saturday
Yes.
this year.
We have another thing that goes on in our small neck of the woods here in Central PA. Well, it's not so little, but besides, Knoebels is a good amusement park, family oriented, but Little League World Series. So we will not compete with the Little League World Series.
Oh, is that the weekend of the Little League World Series? I would not want
I
to
think the
compete
Little
with
League
that.
World Series starts the following week.
Yeah.
We did it this year on the 3rd because the 10th or that weekend after was when the Little League World Series started.
Right.
Because I know people have been asking, oh, can we move it? It's like, no, we're not moving it because, I mean, we've had projected by somebody else, not us, 5,000 for the first year last year, 7,500 before the torrential rains came in the afternoon.
Oh, it was hopping, man. It was a hopping day.
They
Like
were there shopping before like 8:45.
I was setting up and people were already looking in my booth. And I'm like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. I mean, all the vendors I spoke to, because I remember when Gwen wanted to put this together last year, I was like, we didn't have many sponsors. We had area services. My parents gave a couple bucks. I gave the money for the insurance and the band. And I think that might have been it. And I was like, just let's not take a bath on this because everything is West Virginia, Western PA. And when it turned out, and then we had 23 vendors, and unfortunately, no food truck showed up because out of our control, they just decided to probably like piss on it. We're not going.
I've seen that a lot though happen with food trucks for some reason.
But this year we had 100 and some vendors, 105, 100, at least 100 vendors, and we had about 7 or 8 food trucks that showed up. And everybody I spoke to made money because I was like, she was going to cap it at 50, but then like a day or two later, before she could stop the thing, people were doing and calling, and then it was like, hey, I was there last year, or my friend, was there last year. They said I got to be there this year, so Gwen couldn't say no. It was like no, and then I start crapping my pants again because I'm like, you went from 23 to like 90. She's like, oh, we're now near 100. I'm like, you need every bit of those 5,000 people to come back and more. So these vendors come back because the vendors help us and the people that come help us. And by the way, if you look up, there is a Facebook page. Go to Got Knockers Facebook page. GotKnockers.org shares everything. Because one thing I do want to say is the festival is free. I believe speakers next year are going to be $15. A slight increase only because 2 things. We have Ronnie LeBlanc coming, and I think we're preparing that we may have to pay more for the facility because the hall that we have the speakers in is going to be air conditioned for next year. So we don't know if it's going to be the same price. Plus, we also asked for that other building,
the barn.
Yeah.
That I took that up right away. I'm like, if I don't have to set up my tent, because I'm a little spoiled because of the one thing that I do, I have tables and a pavilion provided to me. So I don't have to lug a tent. I don't have to lug tables. So when I go outside of that, I have to lug everything. And I have a little tiny car. I need to get a trailer.
Yeah, we got a trailer. And then we think we finally have it set up where we can get it. We tried over the last year since we got it. We tried a bunch of stuff, racks, boxes, or crates.
Right.
I mean, I think we have a system, but yeah, I think it's going to be fun. We have Amy Boo, Ronnie LeBlanc. We have Ryan Golombesky, RPG from Expedition Bigfoot. Same thing with Ronnie LeBlanc. We have Daniel Lee Barnett from the UK. He's going to be here. A great kid, 15, autistic, doing big things over there. I mean, the kid could talk, and I think he could sell ice to the Eskimos. I thought I could, but man,
I thought I could too. So,
but listening to him talk and come up with some ideas and doing everything he can, and then they're doing a documentary about his Bigfoot experience. I think it's called My Bigfoot Life. They should be wrapping it up sometime next year. So the Friday before, so the 8th, will be a screening for that movie, and then I think all proceeds are going to go to his father, who does. He's a police officer, but I think he took an absence from that over in the UK. He is doing like music with special needs and autistic kids, where they could, he teaches music, piano, and that. So just to help them try. And I know when he first started, there was a student that didn't have like a keyboard, so I saw him. So we want to try to, help him help his students, basically.
That's awesome.
So if anybody out watching that's in the Central PA area knows of some places that have cheap or willing to donate,
I wish I knew that sooner. I just donated clarinets to Mount Carmel.
Oh, wow. Well,
I've had them sitting here for 7 years and no one wanted them.
Yeah, clarinets would be good. Something small that we could, because what we'd like to do is get a donation, and then I don't know if and then when Gwen flies United next year, when she goes over, I'd like to see if United would donate the baggage fee. Like if we put this in a big thing, would they donate their flight to get over there for them? So like a guitars or bass, or like you said, clarinet or a trumpet, something small. We don't need drums. Because how are you going to get them to the UK? But something small. So if you have anything, again, I'm going to put my email up here. Reach out to me at, carc.mpurcell@gmail.com. If you know of a place that has, they don't have to be brand new, but like nice used or a good quality that's not junk, that we could donate, that would be very helpful. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. All right. Well, Holly, it was great talking to you.
It was great. And hopefully by next year's festival, I'll have my 3 books done.
All right. Well, we'll have to have you back. And I think I hear Gwen coming in. So, yeah. Oh, got to close the door before the beasts come in.
Yeah. But, that's what I'm waiting for. I can hear my cat outside waiting for me.
So, all right. Well, everybody, I'm going to close the show in our outro. And Holly, we'll be in touch.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. And again, if you liked what you saw, share it, like, subscribe so you're notified. Can't, ask enough. I mean, if you know of a show or you want to be a guest, reach out to me, carc.mpurcell@gmail.com. We'll take you out. Everybody have a great night. Our next guest is going to be November the 7th. It's going to be the Ghost Check. And then I think, don't know if I have a show after that, but I'm going to try doing I didn't have a guest the other week before Jeff. He had to cancel because of oral surgery. So I'm going to call it Paranormal Files Open Forum. I'll come on if people want to chit chat. We talk. If not, there won't be a show. Then I think I'm going to end my season early this year and then revamp for next year. So everybody, so we'll be back before Thanksgiving. But happy Halloween, by the way, for everybody. I know Gwen's big.
Yes.
All right, here we go.
This has been a CARC Universal production.